Police Chief Schultz, who now works for Taser, is being investigated by a local news station for his cozy relationship with the company, while still police chief. Emails allegedly show the police chief being given speaking engagements and perhaps employment in exchange for influence peddling. He promises that he's going to grease things for Taser with the APD. What we're seeing now with the police industrial complex mirrors what we've seen for decades with the military industrial complex. That people who are high-ranking officers and who make purchasing decisions will then retire and go to work for the very companies that are military contractors. And make no mistake about it, Taser is a military contractor. It's the militarization of our police. And when we look at this state-of-the-art $2 million camera technology that they've sold them, how likely is it that there was no recording of this event? The capability to record an entire shift with only a 40% battery charge, with a 30-second buffer once he starts recording, even if he had it in standby, it makes it pretty hard to believe that he didn't really record this incident. Now, the current police chief, Chief Eden, stopped short of calling the lack of footage a malfunction and declined to say whether the officer told investigators that he turned the camera on or not. He says he's going to send it to the manufacturer for forensic analysis to see if it functioned properly. Who knows, maybe he can get former police chief Schultz, who now works for Taser, to help him with that forensic investigation. Don't hold your breath about a detailed investigation of yet another police shooting in Albuquerque. The problems there are long-lasting and systemic. And as we consider the militarization of the police and the creation of yet another profit center for the industrial military complex, as they turn our cities into war zones, the same way they did this trailer park where Mary Hawks was shot over a stolen truck. They were not hunting down a murderer, they were not hunting down a terrorist, but they were going to lock down the entire trailer park and use dogs going house to house searching. Are the American people in Bunkerville and Albuquerque beginning to realize who the real domestic terrorists are? That's right, and as we're seeing now, it's going to another level. It's not just destroying our civil liberties. It's not just destroying our property rights. It's not just destroying the legal system. And it's not just putting police violence on the street. Now we're seeing Mexican drug cartels moving into the United States. And you know what happens when they do that. You've seen this in Mexico, the beheadings, the torturing. And now we've got people who were tortured in Minnesota by the Sinaloa drug cartel. This is a story from Fox News. Mexican cartel allegedly hired MS-13 to carry out torture operation in Minnesota. They said the 3 enforcers were allegedly sent from L.A. to St. Paul, Minnesota on orders from the Sinaloa cartel to find people who stole 30 pounds of meth and $200,000 from a stash house in St. Paul. They got a couple of teenagers. The cartel hitmen snagged them, tortured them. They had their lives and the lives of their families threatened, and they were told to find the missing drugs or come up with $300,000 to compensate the drug cartel. Now, Breitbart reports that the U.S. Attorney General's office admitted the fact that the Sinaloa cartel was involved when they had an official press release about that. This is what we're going to see. This is the next step of the war on drugs. We've seen it destroy our due process, our way of life. We've seen, as I mentioned earlier, this 17-year-old who was being set up by the guys who are working on the war on drugs, set up by an 18-year-old informant. They chase him down. He runs when he sees somebody coming after him that doesn't identify themselves as a cop, is not dressed as a cop. He runs. They throw him to the ground. They shatter his ribs. They pepper spray him, and they kill him by shoving a sharp object down his throat. Why? Well, they said, we thought that he might have swallowed some drugs, and we had to get those drugs out of him. And that's really kind of the metaphor for what they're doing to the entire country. Because they think we might have swallowed some drugs, they're going to stick metal objects down the throat of America, essentially, to get us off of those drugs. You know, as we've said many times, if the only tool that you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you think the only thing that you've got is government force, then you want to prohibit everything. It's going to get much worse. We've seen in Mexico that vigilantes organized to protect themselves against the Knights Templar when the government would not do it. That's what's going to wind up happening here in America. I'm going to take your calls right after we come back. The number is 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231.
If you're worried about your health and you're tired of the nasty side effects of harsh drugs or antibiotics, then look no further. Supernatural Silver is the answer. Supernatural Silver is a powerful immune system enhancer that can be used every day to help keep you healthy and well with none of those nasty side effects. It's extremely safe for use internally as well as topically. And Supernatural Silver is hundreds of times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver. It is perfect for use in the sinuses, eyes, ears, and on any wound or skin issue. Supernatural Silver is also extremely effective when taken orally and can help fight off bacteria, viruses, and mold that may be overwhelming your immune system. Go to supernaturalsilver.com, supernaturalsilver.com, and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off of your entire order and give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
Great news, pure water lovers. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has a special discount offer for all GCN listeners. You can't do better than a Big Berkey for economy. For only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. There's none better than a Big Berkey for emergency preparedness as a backup water source. And you just can't beat a Big Berkey to remove dangerous chlorine, all types of fluoride, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, and unhealthy byproducts from municipal water. Berkey water filter systems are even powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. For the gold standard in water filters, get a Big Berkey at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. For details, call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his two-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Virtually anyone can hack your cell phone and track your calls, your texts, your emails, your every movement, but only if they can detect a signal. Stay one step ahead of hackers and Big Brother with a Block-It Pocket, a custom-made pocket infused with pure silver that creates a complete Faraday enclosure for your cell phone. For free shipping to the lower 48, visit blockitpocket.com or call 888-315-9618. blockitpocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Tired of taking handfuls of vitamin pills? Look and feel super with a great-tasting liquid vitamin and mineral supplement called Passion for Life. This incredible 1-ounce daily drink can lead to better stamina and energy due to faster, more complete absorption. Passion for Life contains 135 all-natural whole food ingredients. It's the best-tasting, most powerful product of its kind on the market. Order now by calling 844-TRY-LIFE or find out much more about Passion for Life by visiting 844trylife.com. 844trylife.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, filling in for Alex. Now, Alex is going to be joining us in the third hour. He's going to be interviewing Color Purple author Alice Walker. Of course, she won a Pulitzer Prize for that book, and it was made into a movie by Steven Spielberg. Should be a very interesting interview. That's Alex Jones with Alice Walker live here in the studio coming up the next hour. We were just talking about how sad it is that the people in America, many of them Christians who are trying to stop drug abuse, and they're concerned about people's welfare, and yet they see government as the solution, not a reformed life, not Christ in their life, but seeing government as the way to get people off of drugs. And they are advocating the worst kinds of force, the destruction of our entire legal system, of our Bill of Rights in the name of the war on drugs, which is now metastasized in the war on terror and the surveillance state. Now the Pope is essentially doing the same thing. At the top of Drudge today, he's calling on governments to redistribute wealth. This is a report from the AP. It says Pope demands legitimate redistribution of wealth. Well, I don't have a problem with the legitimate redistribution of wealth. What is the legitimate redistribution of wealth? Well, that would be if you take your money and you give it to somebody else voluntarily, if you get people to have compassion for people that are in worse circumstances than they are, and give them to voluntarily give money to help people, and do it in a way that isn't institutionalized, isn't bureaucratic, isn't a gun in the face of people. What he's calling for, however, is not the legitimate redistribution of wealth. He's calling for the government to stick a gun in people's faces and to do it in a very ham-fisted, inefficient way that doesn't really make a distinction between who really needs a helping hand and who needs to just get a job. And it really kind of falls on deaf ears. You know, it's kind of like these glitterbug preachers. You know, when you see somebody that has the kind of wealth that the Pope is setting on, when he calls on governments to take that money from somebody else instead of helping them himself, that is the thing that really smacks of hypocrisy, in my opinion. Is that the most important issue? I mean, when we've got people being crucified in the Middle East by essentially our surrogates in those wars over there, is that really the key thing? And he needs to wonder about the effectiveness of making the government into some kind of god, because we've got the UN urged to tell the Catholic Church that it has no right to oppose abortion. This is from a story by CNS News. They say the Center for Reproductive Rights, a non-governmental organization that advocates for legalized abortion, is urging the UN Committee Against Torture to tell the Catholic Church that, quote, the freedom of speech and of religion, unquote, does not give the church the right to advocate against abortion. Really? Really? So just, isn't that freedom of speech to say what you want, to talk about what your religious convictions are? See, if we give all power to the government, as the Pope is advocating here, saying that government needs to redistribute wealth, that's where it's all going to come down. Look at this, though. We have much deeper problems. Look at Harvard University, a former theological university. Now they're going to have a reenactment of a black mass celebrating Satan is going to be scheduled at the Harvard University on Monday evening. And they say that this is going to be hosted by the Satanic Temple from New York. This isn't just an educational event, folks. This is a recruitment event, as if they needed it. Maybe they're trying to start a club like Skull and Bones there at Harvard. You know, Yale's got their Skull and Bones. Maybe they need a similar satanic group at Harvard. Meanwhile, what happens to Christians who are outed as Christians? And that's really this is a report that was picked up by Drudge about these two brothers who were yanked off of Home and Garden Television, HGTV, the cable channel. As the headline on InfoWars put it, they were outed as Christians. I think that's probably the best way to put it. They said that they were opposed to homosexual marriage, they were opposed to abortion, and so that's being turned into these guys are hateful bigots. That's the narrative that we've seen over and over again. They pushed back and they said that that he doesn't like the gay agenda that seeks to silence men and women of faith, but he says they're not going to change. They don't have any hatred of homosexuals, and they're not going to change what they're doing. If that's the price they pay for their religious convictions, they're going to stick to it. Look at what's happening in Canada, though. We've got Justin Trudeau. Now, this is the son of former Liberal Prime Minister in Canada, Pierre Trudeau. He's saying that anti-abortion candidates don't need to apply to become members of his party in 2015. Now, if you're already elected, of course, they're not going to throw you out if you have pro-life leanings, but because they need the people. They're in third place right now. But you need not apply if you aren't going to go along with their abortion agenda. That's what the liberals tell us. I think that's actually a pretty illiberal position for them to take in Canada. We're going to be right back taking your calls.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run.